Well, it's certainly been an exciting week in terms of new camera announcements. We have Canon and Sony dropping some new cameras, which means more cameras are also coming. Now, this channel is called Tech with Context. You've probably been flooded with a number of tech review videos that all say great things about these cameras, and they certainly are incredible. But what I like to do is take things a step further and break down what it's actually like to both own and use these cameras. So that's what we'll do in today's video. If you stick around to the end, I'm also going to share something that I think is the most exciting aspect of all these new camera releases. So stick around to the end and let's get started. Before we go any further, I do want to disclose that I do not have an A7R6 in hand. So the thumbnail for this video was created using AI. And furthermore, I'm going to refer to the A7R6 as an example in this particular video. So the information that I share now is something that you can use before making camera purchases, whether you're looking to upgrade or you're looking to make your first camera purchase. I brought my notes today because I don't want to forget anything. And we're going to start with image quality. So looking at the sensor on this camera, it's a 66.8 megapixel fully stacked sensor that can shoot up to 8K. All right, it can shoot incredible photos and it can capture like the highest quality video. And having that fully stacked sensor means that if you're a run and gun shooter or if you are concerned about rolling shutter, well, that's going to help mitigate any of like wobbly footage or anything like that. Not only that, but Sony's cameras are also well known to have incredible autofocus, and somehow they've managed to integrate AI into their autofocus system, which means that it's going to be even better and more reliable in these new cameras. So I think we can all agree that the image quality coming out of the A7R6, for example, is pretty incredible. But the higher the image quality that you shoot in, the more memory you're going to need to not only capture your footage, but if you want to store that footage, then this is what happens with that trickle-down effect. So for example, I use 2 SD cards for my FX3s. If I'm shooting in 24 frames per second in 4K, that's going to give me roughly 4 hours of capture time. Now, if I want to shoot in 30, 60, or 120 frames per second in 4K, of course, that time is going to decrease. And then on the storage side of things, that's where the SSD cards come into play. Now, I already know what some of you are going to say. The cost of SSDs are going up, but the cost of hard drives are still pretty affordable. So if you want to store your footage on hard drives, well, that is certainly an option. But the reason why the cost of SSDs are so important is because this is what I use to store all of my footage. I attach this to my laptop, and this is where I edit all of my footage from. The reason why is because I only have 1 terabyte of storage space on my laptop, and this particular SSD gives me 4 terabytes of storage, and also it has very fast transfer speeds. So if I am editing a video, well, I'm going to use my SSD to do that editing. And right now, the costs of SSDs are just through the roof. So let's take a closer look at this pricing. I'm recording this video on May 15th, 2026. And the cost of an SD card with 256 gigabytes of storage space. It's a V90 card, so it should be fast enough to capture footage or photos using the A7R6. It's going to run $249 per card. Now, the Sony A7R6 has 2 SD card slots, so you're looking at $500 in SD cards alone. And then taking this a step further, because you might want to shoot in 8K, those file sizes are gigantic. And that's where we're really turning to external SSD footage, not only to store, but also to edit from. Right now, a 4 terabyte T7 portable SSD is running at $816. The one I'm looking at right now is on sale. They're more like $1,000 and up if you're looking to purchase any type of an external SSD that has enough storage space to place all your footage so that you can either store it or edit from. So let's just be realistic here for a second. The cost of this new camera is going to be about $4,500. If you purchase 2 SD cards, that's going to be $5,000. And if you need an external SSD solution, you're looking at least $6,000 so far. And we haven't even talked about lenses or batteries. This right here, this is a V-mount battery. And right now I'm very happy that I adopted this system a number of years ago. The cost of a new battery for the A7R6 is going to be about $120. This is because it's a new type of battery that's supposed to be more efficient, and it's also supposed to give you more battery life. So if you're looking to upgrade into this camera or you're looking to purchase it for the first time, this is going to impact you in either situation. And most cameras do come with one battery if you purchase one brand new. So there's that. But if you're like me and you shoot for an extensive period of time, you're probably going to want to buy extra batteries. Now, my rule of thumb nowadays, because I've learned the hard way, is that I have no more than 2 batteries for each camera. So if I only have one camera that I'm shooting for the day, I'm only going to carry or purchase 2 batteries that I can switch out. If I'm going to shoot for any longer than that, that's where I turn to V-mount batteries. I've done a number of videos on these. And what's great about V-mount batteries is it doesn't matter in this case, because if you already have these, you can use the V-mount for any camera, and it holds true for the new A7R6. I purchased this battery 4 or 5 years ago, probably for $100. So I've definitely got my money's worth out of it. So if you are somebody who thinks that you're going to need to shoot for longer than the amount of time that 2 batteries is going to give you, I actually recommend purchasing a V-mount battery and adopting that system. But if you're somebody who needs multiple batteries to get you through a day because you prefer that type of a setup, just keep in mind that each of these batteries is going to cost you about $120. Okay, I'm back at my desk. Are you having fun yet? Look, the other thing that you want to consider when you're making a camera purchase is it going to hold its value over time? And, camera purchases are a lot like purchasing a car. As soon as you pull your car off the lot after making a new purchase, well, the value decreases dramatically. And that's kind of the same with cameras. So I'm just looking at some prices for myself. And I purchased the Sony FX3 when it first came out like 5 years ago. I purchased that camera for $3,900. Right now, you can purchase a brand new FX3 for $4,300. So that's a $400 price increase over time. Now, I don't own it anymore, but I also owned the Sony A7R5, which is the predecessor to the Sony A7R6. This is a hybrid camera, and the amount that camera has decreased over time is a different story than the FX3. So right now, I'm looking at the cost that I purchased that camera brand new was just under $4,200. And right now, you can purchase A7R5 for just under $3,300. Now, these are new camera purchase prices, and that doesn't even include the amount you can probably purchase older cameras on the used market. I promise I'm going to get to the positive side of all this shortly. But before I end this video, I also want to mention some other limitations that exist that you have no control over and are well beyond the limits of whatever camera is that you're using. So if you take that 67-ish megapixel image and upload it, or if you take 8K footage and upload it to any social media platform in the universe right now, well, they compress it, they change it, they have to store those files too, and you're not going to get that high of image quality once everything is processed. So your end user can't even, enjoy that high quality imagery at the end of the day. I did a video about this where I compared 1080p with 4K. I'll place a link to that video down in the description so that you can see the difference between 1080 and 4K once it's uploaded to a platform like YouTube. And also, if you want to use this camera to live stream, you have to use hardware to live stream. Most hardware out on the market now caps everything at 1080p. So even if you want to live stream in 8K, it's going to be capped through the hardware that you're using. So the end user is only going to see 1080p footage anyway. This is some high-level information that you should just be aware of. So then that way, if you're expecting everything to be the highest quality, doesn't mean that it always is. And depending on your use case, I would say that most people watching this video don't even need to be shooting in 8K or might not even need 67 megapixel images in the first place. So I've kind of already hinted to the bright side of all of this. If you're looking to upgrade or make a new camera purchase, do you really need this high quality of a camera? As these new cameras come out, it means that the predecessors are going to go down in price. And I would just suggest that you take a look at a camera like the FX3 or the A7R5 or even the A7R. Cost of these cameras are significantly less when compared apples to apples and keeping in the same ecosystem as Sony. And of course, this also holds true if you're looking at other camera manufacturers. But really, have we hit a plateau? And is it really necessary to make that new camera purchase? Of course, that decision is up to you. But these are all the things that you should consider before making new camera purchases. And as you get excited about all the new camera releases that will be coming out as a result of what we saw earlier this week. Oh, dang, if you're still watching, I forgot to mention, if you're looking to purchase the A7R6, I'm going to recommend this, the A7CR smaller size camera. It is a hybrid camera, 61 megapixel sensor, shoots up to 4K, and I'm looking at used prices right now in the $2,500 to $2,700-ish price range. You only need one SD card for this particular camera. So anyway, I love this small size camera, something to consider if you're in the market. So that's it for today's video. If you like what you saw, I invite you to hit the thumbs up and subscribe if you enjoy this type of content. Thanks as always for tuning in, and I'll see you again in the next video.